Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Lackawanna City Council October 21st, 2024 meeting. We start with our caucus. Caucus is an opportunity for the city council members to discuss amongst ourselves the individual agenda items. Then at the formal meeting is where we take the votes. To that end, several of the first agenda items up until departmental reports are administrative, so we'll skip right to the communications from division and department heads. Agenda item number 2, for a senior foreman, the public works request city council approve CADCO for the installation of the new traffic signal at the intersection of Lackawanna Avenue and Ridge Road. Lowest bidder was $199,558.95. Any council members have any questions or comments on item number 2?
Council President, I would pose a few questions. However, the foreman is not present today. Is there anyone that would be representing him with a little bit of information?
Not that I know of. He's away at a conference.
Okay. My only questions, City Attorney, if you have answers, I would pose them to you. Are we bound to go with the lowest bid? Is that state regulated?
So there's state procurement law, and then there's also Lackawanna City Code that itemizes the guidelines in order to be followed for procurement.
Okay, and based on that, we follow the lowest bid model?
It's lowest bid model, but then there's footnotes or reasons why sometimes the lowest bidder doesn't get it, and that is poor work history, lack of experience, lack of expertise. So there's criteria in both laws, the state and the city code, that spell out exactly what should be followed, or the procedures that should be followed in relation to procurement.
Okay, and that would lead me to my second question, which I guess I would address to the foreman, but he's not present. My only questions were do we have a history with CATCO? If so, was their performance exemplary or stellar or subpar? In that event, based on their answer, if we had any, if we had a rapport with either of the other bidders, and if their performance was stellar or subpar as well. That's my only questions based on how important this project is. I think we all agree that this is an extremely important project. Due to the fact that the contract was not included in our packet, I'm not aware if it also included the crosswalk design and things of that nature. I know that that was in our conversations prior to when we approved these items, but I don't know.
I don't believe the crosswalk is included. It's just the installation of the light.
Just the installation of the light. So then we would have further funds to allocate towards that based on the money that we have for this particular project.
I would assume.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have any other questions regarding agenda item number 2? If not, moving on to agenda item number 3, again, the senior foreman of public works request city council direct city clerk to begin bid process for the engineering firm for Warsaw Street Bridge replacement project. Anyone have any questions or comments from the city council on item number 3? Moving on to item number 4, from our director of public safety. Request city council approve the sale of a 2019 Ford Fusion and 2021 Dodge Durango. Proceeds will be placed in the police department operating budget. Council members have any comments? Item number 4. Item number 5, from the city attorney, request city council approve the ordinances regarding amendments to chapters 190, 135, 155 of the municipal city code. John, as city attorney and as the author of this request, would you give our give us a brief breakdown of this for us and for the people in the audience at home?
Sure. The reason why this request is being made is that the fees in the current city code are outdated. So the fees were established years ago, 20, 30, 40 years ago. They haven't been updated since. And as a result, the city has to pass an ordinance even to update the fees. So what the whole logic or sense behind this endeavor is to bring the fees up to current standards of your local municipalities, whether it be Buffalo, Hamburg, West Seneca, all throughout Western New York, just bring Lackawanna up to the similar type fee structure as those entities.
Thank you. Any council members have any questions or comments on agenda item number 5 or of Mr. Gahn?
And these are directly linked to code enforcement violations?
Code enforcement, health and sanitation, and municipal code violations. Actually, I also, Chuck, anything to add here or no?
No, this is, well, one other thing, it's a continuation of the fee enhancements and adjustments that you saw last council meeting. So we did them in stages so that they would be implemented in an easier fashion. But to your point, these are all code enforcement oriented fees.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 6 from the city attorney Gahn. Request city council approve memorandum of understanding for the school resource officer and authorize mayor to sign same. I believe we're all very familiar with this item. Any council members have any comments or questions at this time?
I do. Depending on how this pans out, whether we pass it or not, in the event that we do pass this tonight, when does this go into effect? How soon can we see the SRO at the school if we pass this?
So it would be logistics with the police department, so I really can't speak on behalf of the police department. Captain Kukaleka does have some familiarity with this situation. Are you able to answer that, or do we probably need some time in order to make sure logistics are squared away?
I've been advised that if it's passed by the council, we can have them back there tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you, that's all I had.
Anything else? And I'd like to thank our city attorney and our director Clark for the work and time they put into this, both in bringing us up to speed at the last minute when we were not part of the negotiations. We had just received notice of the contract a couple of days before the last meeting, and it was unfortunate that we weren't brought up to date on that at that time, but since then, your efforts have been appreciated and welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item number 7 from Director of Development Clark. Request City Council review the revised purchase offer from Amana Enterprises LLC for the city-owned property located at 3140 South Park Avenue. The LLC principal, Mr. Izio Mohammed, is requesting City Council approve his request to purchase this property. I believe, as the City Council members are aware, there were several issues brought up by Director Clark at the time. Some still remain, but one of the major issues was the price that was being offered after an appraisal was received. It substantially increased the value of the property, and the request is in compliance pretty much with the new valuation of that corner lot. Director Clark, is there anything you wish to add on this item?
No, just to well, other than the price, just the clarification that Mr. Mohammed's plan is to purchase the former McCusker Tax Building, which is adjacent to this property. His plan would be to use the 3140 South Park Avenue parcel as parking to supplement that project. It's an acceptable use for the zoning area because if he is successful in turning that into a medical complex with multiple doctors and so on, you'll have a lot more traffic in terms of patients, employees, sales providers, service providers, things of that nature. I will point out, though, that as I've mentioned, this is a buildable lot. It is as large, if not larger, than some of the homes that we have sold to Habitat for Humanity to build. So both are acceptable uses. One's a little bit higher in terms of tax value, but Mr. Mohammed's vision for that property is an acceptable one for the zoning area.
Thank you. And as had been discussed and brought to light on other occasions, not only had the purchase price been a concern, but there's a concern of properties that Izzy Mohammed has been involved in kind of languish as far as their rehabilitation is concerned. There are many properties that have not been touched, even though they've been owned in some form, either individually or by LLC, limited liability corporations. And that is also a concern for this council. A question for City Attorney Gahn. If this is approved, is it possible to put an appropriate reverter clause in that document or in the deed that although this parcel is intended to be used strictly for parking, it is tied use-wise directly to the McClusker property, and one seems to be contingent on the other. Normally, when you have a reverter clause, it has to do with the development for the use of the subject parcel alone. And if it's just the parking lot, it'd be nothing to put the parking lot in. And still nothing may be done over time with the McClusker building. So we've relinquished our ownership, the city's ownership in that lot. The owner accomplished the requirement by putting in a parking lot, yet the McClusker building may languish. So in your opinion, is it possible to tie the two together so that the reverter clause can be worded such that unless the subject property that this sale would benefit progresses along an acceptable period of time and is completed by an end date that should be established, is it possible, do you, in your opinion, to put that language in a reverter clause?
So in my opinion, yes. A reverter clause is you're basing it on time. Time is the big element or factor, not necessarily purpose. So a reverter clause is, you need to develop 3140 by such and such date and time, or it can revert back to the city. And I get the two are contingent upon each other, meaning exactly how you explained it, but as long as the provision or clause is not illegal, which how you spelled it out is not illegal, it should be legal and it should be permitted. And that would be something to be agreed between the parties.
And I think if the language is placed in the deeds as to why the property is being transferred, subject to the adjoining property being timely developed, that may be considered a legitimate reverter clause language versus some kind of an unacceptable or illegal requirement title-wise for the property.
I would agree.
Yeah, I would think so. Okay. Any council members have any questions or comments on?
Yeah, I do.
Yes.
These LLCs, from what I read, the LLC is not up to snuff and paying all their taxes. From what I read, 2021 was paid, but not 22, 23. From this LLC that we're,
No,
is that true?
that is not exactly true. This LLC that is the subject of the property we're talking about is a new LLC created for strictly the purchase of 3140 South Park Avenue. The other LLCs that you're referring to have common membership in them, one of them being Mr. Mohammed, but they are all individual entities unrelated to the purchase of this property. But your point, those other LLCs in various forms
Delinquent.
are behind on some degree of tax.
Okay.
But the entity that's before you
Gotcha.
is different.
I understand, okay.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments, city council, city attorney, anything else?
No.
Moving on to agenda item number 8, again from Director Clark, request city council approve rezoning recommendation for various private parcels on South Park, Electric, and Myrtle Avenues. Current open space designation of these parcels renders them incompatible with land use definitions as outlined in the city's comprehensive plan. Director Clark, for everyone's edification, you want to explain why you're requesting the rezoning?
Yes. Earlier this year, I came before you with this similar topic as it affected 264 Ridge Road, which was the site of the former Friendship House. The open space issue not only affected that property, but which is a city-owned property, but 4 others that are listed here, ranging from South Park, Electric Avenue, and Myrtle. What open space designation was in the early 2000s. The New York State governor at the time, Pataki, encouraged communities to increase green space, open space. And so the powers that be at that time put open space designations on 5 parcels, one being the 264 Ridge Road, and these 4 private parcels that are owned by either companies or individuals. The logic behind that, unfortunately was not able to be found, other than the fact that they complied with the governor's zoning edict at that time. Fast forward to today, these have become problematic in a number of ways. As you've articulated, they're not consistent with the comprehensive plan, but more importantly, open space basically means you cannot develop on them, period. And if they were parklands, consistent with the definition of parkland, we could see it. But in the case of 264 Ridge Road, that was on our main drag of, commercial activity. And in the case of these 4 properties, you have one commercial property where there's an existing but dilapidated building on it. So there was a business running there at one time. And then 3 individual parcels, one of which has a house built on it that was approved in the 1990s. So to have it as open space designation is prohibiting the owner from moving forward with any type of redevelopment, sale, or what have you. The other condition that I need to mention to you is that over the years, my 2 most immediate predecessors did what's called the Phase 1 environmental study on 3 of these 4 properties, which show that because of their proximity to an old railroad line, and if anybody's familiar with this area, it's in the general area of Fran and Seals, Custard, Lids, Little Loop, and it extends from South Park Avenue all the way to Myrtle. It runs along an old railroad line. Anyway, Phase 1 environmental will tell you the history and the use of the land, and the likelihood of soil contamination is high. The only way you validate that is through a Phase 2 environmental. So the reason I bring that up is if the council is in agreement to allow this to move forward so that we can have the lands in the appropriate land use categories, it does not absolve the owner of that land, if they want to develop or sell, from the Phase 2 environmental, which would be necessary to disturb the soil for whatever construction or redevelopment is necessary. So by rezoning, you're basically you're getting the city of Lackawanna out of the way of the private property owner from being able to do what they want with the property, but it does not absolve them from any environmental liability should there be development on it in the future.
And I think the other important thing, Director Clark, is at least 2 of these owners have expressed a desire to develop these properties.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I guess I close with the fact that the city of Lackawanna has an abundance of open space and green space. It's a landlocked community, so any place where you have developable lands, it's important to keep them in the mix, and that is what we're trying to do here, albeit they're in a rather unique area because they're near an old railroad line, but their designation of open space, to put a punctuation mark on this, is neither consistent nor appropriate with the neighborhoods or the current uses and ownership of that land.
Thank you, Director
Or
Clark.
the meaning of open space.
Right, correct.
So in the event that either of these parcels are deemed an environmental, not hazard, but anything that is to do with environmental issues, the owner would have to take on the responsibility of remedying that.
So not to go too deeply into it, but let me just take, for example, 3365 South Park Avenue, which is the commercial piece that we're referring to here. Let's just say they wanted to sell the property and then build and expand on that property. They would be bound by New York State Seeker, State Environmental Quality Review, with doing the appropriate seeker analysis, which would immediately identify that the history of those properties shows that it is potentially contaminated, and for them to go forward, not only with the city, but obviously with any, state type programs for brownfields and things of that nature, they would have to complete the phase twos. Phase twos are very expensive. Just to put it in perspective, an average phase one is somewhere between $6,000 and $8,000. It depends on the depth to which they need to research. A phase two could be anywhere from $35,000 to $45,000, depending upon how many soil borings, because they test water, soil, and so on. Nonetheless, commercial developers are very familiar with phase twos and seekers. If I were to say if there's a concern, it would be any of the residential parcels that somebody wants to redevelop in that area. That would be a significant lift.
So the average Joe that purchases or already owns this and comes to zoning and planning, would that trigger something with us here?
Absolutely it would.
Okay.
All these, again, I'm making big assumptions here. If you allow me to go forward with this, ultimately, when this is over, these properties would be flagged in our system, so that when, if Chuck Clark wants to come in and buy and redevelop 3365 South Park, a flag will go off in Civic that says these things are issues that need to be addressed before we can move forward.
Very good. Thank you.
Did I clarify all your questions?
Very much so. Thank you, Director Clark. Any other council members have any questions or comments on item number 8? We on to item number 9 from our Assistant Controller, Peggy B. Sobel. Request City Council approve ordinance to facilitate budget transfer needed for the 23-24 MS Dental Fund. This will balance the dental fund accounts that were unbalanced for July 31st, 2024. And this is just a further effort by the Controller's Office to bring those accounts in compliance. Any council members have any questions or comments on item number 9? There is an associated ordinance attached there too. If not, there's a request to waive the rules that we'll be dealing with. The mayor requests City Council approve a resolution for the use of community development block grants for the 25-26 grant cycle. Director Clark, anything you want to add on that?
No, sir.
Any council members have any questions on the waiver of the rules? And of course, we're moving on to item number 10. We will hear from Thomas Hardy of Power Market IO, who will make a brief presentation regarding the possible reduction savings costs on energy costs. And
Mr. Morano, may I make one more comment back to my item, if you don't mind? If you approve this evening, what you're approving me to do is to go forward with a public hearing. By law, we're required to do a public hearing, that we move to resolution based on the completion of the public hearing. So
For the rezoning issue?
for the rezoning issue for open space, you are not approving a rezoning ordinance this evening. You are giving me permission to go forward with the project, starting with the public meeting. We will hold that public meeting approximately 2 weeks from now, assuming all goes well and there's no other issues uncovered. At that time, we'll then come back to you with the appropriate rezoning resolution. So I just wanted to be clear with what you're doing this evening.
okay, unless there's anything else, we formally call the meeting for October 21st, 2024 to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Would ask the city clerk to call the roll.
Maflahe?
Present.
Anderson?
Here.
Moretti?
Here.
Sirdike's been excused. Morano?
Here. Thank you.
Department heads, law,
Here.
development and marketing.
Here.
Public works has been excused. Public safety is absent. Assistant comptroller is excused. Recreation.
Here.
Thank you. We move to hearings from citizens. Our first speaker is Jen Springer.
Hi,
Hi,
good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I am the principal of Lackawanna High School, and I'm here today to speak on behalf of the teachers and staff at the high school that we really hope that you're considering bringing back our SRO. We live in a world that has so many dangers that are presenting our students every day and our teachers. And so I just feel that without being here this evening and you not really hearing from people who are doing this work every day in the classroom and in the schools, he's such a huge part of what we do because he goes above and beyond. He has, he'll go after school and talk to a family after we just had a large situation in that day, and it helps prevent things in the future. He keeps not only the people within the building safe, but he really works to encourage those students to make the right choices inside and outside of the school. He keeps that connection. We work very well with the LPD, but he keeps that connection close. He'll call, he'll text, he'll send us information. Hey, watch out, this happened last night in the first ward, or this happened over here. There's all kinds of communication. I don't want to say breakdowns now because he's actually often still communicating with us, probably even though he maybe shouldn't be, but it's really about keeping the kids and the staff in the building safe. And I just think that, I know you look at a paper and there's a lot of numbers, but it makes a huge difference when he's present within our schools. So I just hope that you make that decision for the students and families of Lackawanna tonight. Thank you.
thank you very much, Ms. Springer. Our next speaker is Mark Williamson.
Hello, I'm Mark Williamson. I think I present a unique perspective of the situation between the school and the council, on the resource officer. I've been in the community for 3.5 years now. Some of you council people know me. I work a lot with Councilman Ingram and the mayor on a lot of community projects to help things, especially with people that fall through the cracks, kids, that type of thing. From day one, Officer Keith, literally day one, I met him on our first day there, he set up the annual Trucks and Treats Day for the kids. The very first time we did it, we had over 500 kids come through our building for bowling, pizza with their families. It was unbelievable, the turnout, and he did it in an extremely short amount of time. I've seen him work when he's not even on the clock. He handles situations. He comes to me and talks to me about kids in the community. He has brought in kids to work for me, kids that he got to know. They were having problems, but after working with them, he felt that they resolved them and matured. And he actually put his stamp of approval on me hiring these kids. And they worked out great. Some of the nicest kids I've ever met. I know for a fact, because I've gotten to know his family, he's given up on his personal time with his wife and his kids to help other kids in the community. He is the most unbelievable representative of this community I've ever seen. And he is dealing with the greatest resource this community has, is the kids. They're our future. And what he does with them, he doesn't do it because it's a job. He does it because he loves it. And he is so special, and to have him not in that school is not only a danger, it's a detriment to the future of our kids. That's all I got to say. I know a lot of you folks here are customers of mine, and you come in with your kids, with Keith, and that man, I'm proud to say he is my friend, okay, because he represents the police department so very well, and the rest of the community. And I know there's political issues here, money, whatever. I hope that this council can work with this school and get this resolved, because every day he's not there, it's not good. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Oh, well said, Mr. Williamson, and thank you. And again, Ms. Springer, thank you too. I I would just like to clarify one comment though, Mr. Williamson.
Yes.
You said there's politics and money involved. There's no politics with this council involved in reappointing or considering the SRO officer. There were fiscal considerations, however, which is our
I think that's what I meant.
responsibility to
Right.
address, so.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah.
I apologize if I didn't say
No,
it
I
properly.
just wanted to make it clear that there are no politics involved in this case. We all know.
I hate to think that there were.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Mr. Nagy?
Hello, how you guys doing?
Good.
I'm here regarding the store to open at 1346 Electric. Regarding your decision today, I was able to go around the neighbors and collected a handful of a petition for supporters that want the store in the neighborhood. Can I pass it around?
Would you hand those forward? Thank you. Okay, well, for the record, we'll receive these as petitions submitted by yourself in support of your opening the subject store at 1346 Electric Avenue.
Correct.
Correct. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Nagy, just so you understand, at the last council meeting, your matter was tabled.
No, I apologize. It's
Well,
last time
I'm
I was
just
just
saying-
under.
It was tabled, and it will be up to the council to take that item off the table if we're gonna consider it today. It's not formally on the agenda, but it may be brought up later on in the meeting, just so you understand.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay.
Approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of October 7th, 2024.
Morano moves to adopt minutes of the regular meeting October 7th, 2024 as written.
Maflahe seconds.
Motion by Morano, second by Maflahe, to adopt minutes of the regular meeting of October 7th, 2024 as written. Maflahe?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Morano?
Yes.
Carried 4-0. Departmental report for number 7 dated 10/10/2024.
Morano moves to receive and file a departmental report 1.
Maflahe seconds.
Motion by Morano, second by Maflahe, to receive and file departmental report 1. Maflahe?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Morano?
Yes.
Carried 4-0. Senior Foreman of Public Works requests the City Council approve CATCO for the installation of the new traffic signal at the intersection of Lackawanna Avenue and Ridge Road. CATCO is the lowest bidder at $399,558.95. Ochino Corp. came in at $460,892.50. And Millennium, they came in at $624,626.
Maflahe moves to approve the request.
Morano seconds.
Motion by Maflahe, second by Morano to approve request. Maflahe?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Morano?
Yes.
Carried 4-0. Senior Foreman Public Works requests the City Council to direct the city clerk to begin the bid process for the engineering firm for the Warsaw Street Bridge Replacement Project.
Morano moves to approve request, direct city clerk to begin bid process.
Anderson second.
Motion by Morano, second by Anderson to approve request, direct city clerk to begin bid process. Maflahe?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Morano?
Yes.
Carried 4-0. Director of Public Safety requests the City Council approve the sale of a 2019 Ford Fusion and a 2021 Dodge Durango. Proceeds will be placed in the Police Department operating budget.
Morano moves to approve request.
Moretti second.
Motion by Morano, second by Moretti to approve request. Maflahe?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Morano?
Yes.
Carried 4-0. City Attorney requests the City Council approve the ordinances regarding amendments to Chapter 190, 135, and 155 of the Municipal Code.
Morano moves to receive and file, act on ordinances. Agenda's item 5A, 5B, and 5C will be taken as one.
Anderson seconds.
Motion by Morano, second by Anderson to receive and file act on ordinances. Maflahe?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Morano?
Yes.
Carried 4-0. 5A, an ordinance rescinding Chapter 190-12E, solid waste of the municipal code, penalties for offenses. The penalties of the provisions are amended to: the first violation, $50, second violation, $100, third violation, $200, fourth violation and subsequent violations, $300. Ordinance 5B, amending Chapter 135, Health and Sanitation, by adding Section 135-14, height and location. Penalties for offenses as follows: first violation, $50, second violation, $100, third violation, $200, fourth and subsequent violations, $300. And the third ordinance, amending Chapter 155-10, Municipal Code Violations, Bureau of the Municipal Code. Penalties are rescinded and replaced as follows: initial penalty, first offense $50, second offense $100, third offense $150, and subsequent offenses $300. Penalty upon default, first offense is $100, second offense is $200, third offense is $300, and subsequent offenses is $600.
Morano moves to adopt ordinances 5A, 5B, and 5C as written.
Anderson seconds.
Motion by Morano, second by Anderson, to adopt ordinance 5A, 5B, and 5C as written. Maflahe?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Morano?
Yes.
Carried 4-0. City Attorney requests the City Council approve the memorandum of understanding for the school resource officer, authorizing the mayor to sign same.
Maflahe moves to approve the memorandum of understanding for the school's resource officer and for mayor to sign same.
Anderson seconds.
Motion by Maflahe, second by Anderson, to approve the memorandum of understanding for the school resource officer and for mayor to sign same. Maflahe?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Morano?
Yes.
Carried 4-0. Director of Development and Marketing requests the City Council review the revised purchase offer from Amana Enterprises LLC for the city-owned property located at 3140 South Park Avenue. The LLC principal, Mr. Izzy Mohammed, is requesting the council approve his request to purchase this property.
Morano moves to approve request with the appropriate language and the deed addressing the concerns of the council.
In relation to a reverter clause.
Yes.
Anderson seconds.
Motion by Morano, second by Anderson, to approve request with the appropriate language change with regard to reverter clause. Maflahe?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Morano?
Yes.
Carried 4-0. Director of Development requests the City Council approve the rezoning recommendations for various private parcels on South Park, Electric, and Myrtle Avenues. The current open space designation of these parcels is incompatible with the land use definitions for these areas outlined in the city's comprehensive plan.
Morano moves to approve the rezoning recommendation.
Maflahe seconds.
I would just make the motion, you're
Start the
approving the
process.
public hearing to consider the zoning recommendations.
We'll amend it to approve the, to commence the rezoning procedure.
Motion by Morano, second by Maflahe, to approve commencing of the rezoning
Rezoning procedure.
procedure. Maflahe?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Morano?
Yes.
Carried 4-0. Assistant Comptroller requests the City Council approve the ordinance to facilitate the budget transfers needed for the 2023-2024 MS Dental Fund. This will balance the dental fund accounts that were in the red at July 31st, 2024.
Morano moves to receive and file act on ordinance.
Anderson seconds.
Motion by Morano, second by Anderson, to receive and file act on ordinance. Maflahe?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Morano?
Yes.
Carried 4-0. An ordinance amending the 2023-2024 budget ordinances decreasing budget code hospital and medical insurance by $161,000 and $161,028 and transfer to other fund MS Dental by $161,028.
Morano moves to adopt ordinance as written.
Moretti second.
Motion by Morano, second by Moretti to adopt ordinance as written. Maflahe?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Morano?
Yes.
Carried 4-0. Request to waive the rules.
Morano so moves.
Anderson second.
Motion by Morano, second by Anderson to approve request to waive the rules. Maflahe?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Morano?
Yes.
Carried 4-0. Mayor Iafallo requests the City Council approve the resolution for the use of the Community Development Block Grant Program for the 2025-2026 grant cycle.
Morano moves to receive and file act on resolution.
Anderson seconds.
Motion by Morano, second by Anderson to receive and file act on resolution. Maflahe?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Morano?
Yes.
Carried 4-0. A resolution naming the repaving of Kirby Avenue Part 2 for the use of the Community Development Block Grant Program for the 2025-2026 grant cycle, and to authorize the mayor to sign, submit, and execute the contract with the Erie County Community Development Block Grant Program.
Morano moves to adopt resolution as written.
Ready, second.
Motion by Morano, second by Moretti to adopt resolution as written. Maflahe?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Morano?
Yes.
Carried 4-0.
Moving on to communications from citizens, we have a brief presentation by Thomas Hardy. You want to come forward and stand at the podium?
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming.
I live here, but I'm working with a group called Power Market. And what we do is we work with community solar for cities, towns, and villages, schools, individuals, renters, low income, high income. It's a state program. So you have the developers putting solar fields in, right? The state is trying to bring in more solar into the energy mix in New York State. You have natural gas, you have hydro, you have nuclear, and you have renewable energy. So their quest to bring in this renewable energy, they're offering discounts for people to sign up. We are, among other companies, work with the state in making this easier. We have the contract, just to give you an example of the testimonials that we have in Western New York. We have all the buildings for Erie County. We have the Village of Williamsville for their citizens and their buildings. They're all getting a 10% reduction on the electrical cost every month. And we're starting to work with schools. Schools could participate in this program. And it's a state giveaway, the bottom line is, and they're trying to encourage more balance in the grid. And by bringing in more renewable, they hope that to happen. Also for the city, for Lackawanna, there would be a grant. I think the grant could be $10,000 to $20,000 to participate in this program. The beauty of this program is it's great for low income because there's no credit checks. It's another 10% that low income individuals will receive every month on their electric bill, whether it's NYSEG, National Grid, or if it's for the city, if they work with a broker. So all city buildings would get a 10% reduction on their electric bill every month. There's no credit check for low income. If we bring in high income, anybody, nobody's rejected from this program. Community solar had a bad rap. I got involved in it about 6 years ago, and I spoke into the city because it was not inclusive of the lower income section of Buffalo. That has changed now. Everyone's included in this. We are one of the companies that run it for the city, or the county. And if you want any further information, I can get it to Grace. I'll get it to you. You can pass it on, and we can come in and talk. But there's no cost to the city, no cost to individuals. If somebody signed up right now on Power Market, they'd get into the program in probably 30 days. They can get out of the program whenever they want, if they so choose. It's up to them to participate. So it's a great program. There aren't any negatives that I've seen yet, but maybe you bring up a couple to me right now. I'd love to hear it.
How would our community members be advised of all this?
Well, by me or by, we'll come in, we'll give you a presentation, okay? I have it, we have like a 10-page presentation. It just explains the process. And let me know, we'll come in and give you that, and then you can decide whether you want to work with us or maybe there's another group. There are other companies that do this. I'm with this group, I think it's the best one. But you make sure you know that we're not the only game in town. But we'd be glad to come in and give you that presentation. No commitment to you. Well, a little bit of one, just so you can hear us.
Will the city have to set aside property for solar installation panels or anything
No.
like that?
No, for example, Williamsville is just brought in their city buildings. And they want to test it. They want to see how it works before they offer it to the residents, okay? That project is coming out of Utica, a farm in Utica. They have 200 acres and they have about a 10-acre site that's on a hill that they can't put any agricultural products in. So the beauty of this program is it's small solar. And they're trying to fill up the grid. It's a little complex to describe it because you're not putting solar panels on, you're just basically supporting renewable energy, okay? And there's a number of algorithms that go into it. We use it, our company uses it to work with the grid, to work with National Grid, their partners, NYSEG's partners. Everybody knows about us. We work with NYSERDA very closely. So if you work with anything, are you doing anything with clean energy as far as lights, as far as LED lights, for the grant? In July, there was $10 million in grant money available for this program for all communities in New York. I think it's down to about 7 now, but people are sort of chewing this up, and the town of Hamburg had available 75,000 in grants. The village, smaller, I think would be more about the size of what Lackawanna would be entitled to. It's based on population. But no, there's nothing to do with solar in Western New York, really. We have some sites in Western New York. We wouldn't be building anything in Lackawanna, no, at all. So it's a great program.
Well, perhaps you can get us the information, share it with the council, and we can continue this dialogue again.
We'll do it.
All right.
Okay. Thanks very much. I
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Mr. Hardiford. Thank you for coming. Mr. Nagy, before we proceed, I just wanted to clear something up here. Perhaps at the last council meeting, we got off on the wrong foot. We kind of misunderstood each other.
Yeah,
You
that's
think,
what it was.
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I apologize. I was just, I had just came out of work that day
Yeah,
and I don't know.
We all have those days.
Yeah, we did. It
And
was a
our
rough one,
city clerk.
And it had
works-
nothing to do with you guys at all.
And our city clerk works very hard at what she does, and I know you paid the visit there too, and that seemed a little bit rough.
No, not at all.
So in the future, we can expect a mutually respectful relationship,
Of
correct?
course.
If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't even be here right now, just Ron. How
There you
feeling?
go. Well, we appreciate that, and on that note,
Appreciate
I
you.
would move to take off the table the application for the business license for 1346 Electric Avenue.
Thank you. God bless you, Harry.
I second, Fly seconds.
Motion by Morano, second by Maflahe, to remove the business registration for El Noor International Retail Store, 1346 Electric Avenue, to remove it from the table. And this was the item on the October 7th, 2024 agenda.
Thank you.
Maflahe?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Morano?
Yes.
Carried 4-0.
Morano moves to approve the license for 1346 Electric Avenue.
Thank you. Motion by Morano, second by Moretti, to approve the business registration for 1346 Electric Avenue. Maflahe?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Morano?
Yes.
Carried 4-0.
Councilman,
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, guys. God bless you, Harry.
thank you. Anything else, table, business-wise, whatever? Before we go, 2 things for public consumption. I'd like to send our congratulations to an entity here in the city that helps our public tremendously. Access of Western New York celebrated their 20th anniversary last week. It was quite a celebration, very artfully and sophisticatedly done. Very nice, very successful. And we'd also like to extend our congratulations to one of our council members for her receipt of the Leadership Award. Council member, first award, Muflahi. And with that, Morano moves to adjourn.
Motion by Morano,
There you go.
second by Moretti to adjourn meeting. Maflahe?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Morano?
Yes.
Carried 4-0.